What up, Mega Squad? It's your boy bringing y'all back out again with another critical drinker reaction. Alright, so this video is called Why Modern Movies Suck. They're too expensive. I have a good feeling that this is going to be very funny because a lot of people are probably going to be able to relate in terms of some of the opinions, you know, because even myself, I'm thinking like, okay, why? Especially this year, there are a lot of movies this year that came out that sucked. They did not do well at the box office. They bombed. CGI was horrible. The lines were horrible. Some of the actors were horrible. Um, and yeah, he mentioned they're too expensive. So I'm assuming, okay, expensive in terms of the consumer going to the movies, or the studios making the movies, putting in hundreds of millions of dollars into making the movies, and then they're flopping, so they lose money. We want to see what he means by the whole aspect. But I have a good feeling that this is going to be a good one. So let's check this thing out.
Now, you don't need me to tell you that modern Hollywood has got itself some problems. Whether it's ongoing strike action, declining artistic creativity, an
Yep.
over-reliance on remakes and tired genres that are past their peak, or a general aversion to doing anything particularly new or inventive. And to be fair, I've covered a lot of these problems in previous installments of this
Yep.
series. But one of the biggest overriding factors in all of this is a financial one. Put simply, movies are too damn expensive these days. The production budgets for mainstream Hollywood films have been steadily
That's
rising
what it
since
is.
the 1990s, but the process has accelerated out of control over the past few years. In fact, out of the 100 most expensive movies ever released, 66 of them were made in the past 10 years.
Wow.
But Drinker, you
Because of Marvel?
intoxicated bastion of common sense in a world gone mad, I hear you say. Why is this a bad thing? If studios want to spend more money on their films, why not let them get on with it? Well, the thing is, this kind of approach to filmmaking creates problems. The kind of problems that cause a ripple effect through the entire industry, ultimately undermining the quality of the films that we get to watch.
Yeah.
The first and most obvious of these problems is an economic one. As I explained during my Indiana Jones video, once you factor in promotional costs and distributors' fees, the average movie needs to make about 3 times its production budget just to break even. That's hard enough even for relatively small movies, but it becomes infinitely more difficult for films at the top end of the scale. Because if your movie happens to be one of the growing number that costs more than 300 million to make, then you're looking at close to $1 billion just to start turning a profit.
Exactly.
Even now, there's not many films capable of reaching that milestone. Which brings
Unless
me
you're
along
Barbie.
to another problem, the cost of
Super
failure.
Mario.
See, the financial losses incurred by the studio begin to rise exponentially as the budget goes up. A $50 million flop is embarrassing to be sure, but a $300 million flop is absolutely disastrous.
Yeah.
And the inevitable result of massive amounts of money being at stake is that studios tend to seek out safety, predictability, and proven track records. Rather than taking a risk on smaller, riskier, and more diverse projects, they tend to blow their load on whatever's popular right now. And up until recently, that meant either big budget effects heavy superhero flicks, big budget effects heavy resurrections of old franchises, or big budget effects heavy remakes of classic films from previous decades.
Right.
Spot the common factor here? There seems to be a real mentality in Hollywood now that bigger and louder somehow equals better, and the result is an endless competition to produce the most visually stunning pieces of cinema possible. But the problem is that the more you focus on the visuals of your film, the more you tend to neglect everything else around it.
Yeah, because there's a lot of
reliance on spectacle and scale.
He has some good points on that, because it's just more than just visual effects and everything. You got the lines and the chemistry and other aspects of the film, authenticity, aesthetics of the film. There's other things, not just the visual effects of the film that factors into the film, you know, and then marketing and all that stuff.
Audiences in, and it ends up becoming a crutch for bad writing and lack of creativity.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't honestly tell me that you were gripped by Avatar 2's compelling and complex storyline. Jesus, if you can even remember a single thing that actually happened in that movie, I'll be impressed. What you end up with instead are a series of beautiful but ultimately empty and meaningless tech demos that keep you momentarily distracted but offer no long-term impact or emotional payoff. They stimulate your eyes, but not your brain, and the more it
Ah,
happens, the more audiences start to become jaded and disinterested in what Hollywood has to offer.
hmm.
Another big problem with so much money at stake is studio interference. I've lost track of the
That is
number of
true.
films that have been derailed and ruined because the studio started to get jittery about the filmmaker's creative vision and decided to stick their oar in with endless test screenings, last minute rewrites, and mandatory reshoots to produce something more commercially viable.
Commercially
Again, it's a
viable.
nice idea in theory, but the problem is that studio executives aren't storytellers, they're money men, and the decisions
Right.
they make tend to be driven by whatever they think will generate the most money. Narrative cohesion and creative integrity don't tend to factor into their thinking, because all that really matters is keeping the shareholders happy. Not only do rewrites and reshoots undermine a filmmaker's creative vision, but they also push the film's production budget even higher, making
Right.
it even more difficult to turn up profits. So what do you do when movies cost a shit ton of money to make and your confidence in new projects is at an all-time low? Well,
Mm-hmm.
you resurrect dusty old franchises with inbuilt fan bases and strong name recognition and hope that it'll somehow translate into financial success.
Right.
Why do you think we've seen so many new Star Trek, Star Wars, Terminator, Indiana Jones, and Ghostbusters movies in recent years? Not to mention Disney's endless cannibalization of their classic animated
Yeah.
films. It's because all of those things have been big hits at some point in the past, and so logically, if you can shit out a lazy cash grab remake or unnecessary sequel, then it'll be equally successful, right? Wrong.
He said
Top 10
wrong.
movies so far this year, 7 of them are either
Yeah, so yeah. Super Mario, Barbie up there, yup, Guardians, Fast X, yup, Ant-Man. How much did Oppenheimer make? Did Oppenheimer make 400 million yet? Oh, I guess they just talking about my bad. They talking about like Disney and like other okay.
sequels or remakes of older films. And the thing is, it didn't always used to be this way. Go back in time 20 years and the biggest films of 2003 were Return of the King,
Yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Finding Nemo, and Bruce Almighty. Jump back 30 years and Jurassic Park, The Fugitive, The Firm, Sleepless in Seattle, and Mrs. Doubtfire ruled the box office.
Yeah.
I mean, I know which movies I find more worthy of my time. There's also a rather predictable tendency to follow the crowd at the top levels of Hollywood, leeching off winning formulas to replicate the successes of others rather than taking the risk of inventing your own. I know it's become popular to shit on the MCU nowadays, but in its prime, it absolutely changed the landscape of modern blockbuster
True.
movies to the point where almost everyone adopted the exact same style and tone. Serious, mature, and thought-provoking storytelling was out, and snarky, ironic, self-deprecating humor was in.
Yep, that is true. A lot of franchises have been moving towards that
Couple
direction.
of minutes to make another lame attempt at a Joss Whedon joke. It's because everyone wanted their movie to be the next Avengers. The result of all these different factors is a kind of creative inertia, a feeling of bland, depressing.
Was that Real Still? He
You get
had a
the
clip
sense
of
that
Real
most
Still in there.
big-budget movies nowadays all rolled off the same assembly line, composed of the same basic ingredients with only minor alterations.
Right.
And I guess what I'm trying to say is that we seem to have reached the maximum upward limit of how big and expensive movies can possibly be,
Right.
beyond which it becomes impossible to even turn a profit. And maybe it might be time for studios to start backing down a little, stop risking everything on
Except
one
for
mega
studios to
project
start
that
backing
has to
down a
appeal
little.
to as many people as possible, and start investing their money in a more diverse range of smaller, cheaper, creatively ambitious films with a lower bar for success. Projects where the filmmakers actually get the creative freedom they need to bring their visions to life without constant interference,
Right.
where they can afford to take risks and try out new ideas without the fear that one single failure could bring down the entire studio.
True.
And to be honest, I think we could all benefit from a bit more variety in our summer movie season. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
He said, "Go away now." And he provides a lot of good points. You know, like a lot of movies nowadays, they're being expensive in terms of production, marketing, and all the whole 9 yards. And some of it, you know, it doesn't really stimulate the brain in terms of you learning a lesson from the film. It's more like action-packed visual stuff, throwing a couple of chuckles and jokes and laughs and everything. Everyone trying to be like Marvel or Avengers, and they trying to have the next best Avengers movie, and it kind of gets overplayed or played out to the point where you're like, okay, I'm seeing the same type of movies over and over again. It starts to get dull, you know. And then he brings up a good point. You know, Disney making remakes or making live action versions of their cartoon counterparts. You know, Aladdin, Pinocchio, Beauty and the Beast. The thing is, I've seen all of them. Like I've seen, you know, all the live action versions, and some of them were good, some of them were okay, and there were a couple of them that were just bad, or I just didn't like a couple things in it that they changed. But you know, yeah, I mean, a lot of them could be or are cash grabs because they probably had a loss on one film, so they just made Beauty and the Beast to make profit for another film. For also like for WB or you know that like they made the Flash and that flopped, but then they made the money back from Barbie. You know what I'm saying? So they doing things to try to offset any type of losses that they have, and with that, I mean, we still get some bad visual effects, you know, and bad movies here and there, but it's all a business. Not saying that is good for the consumer, but the studios, they trying to do what they can to make money, and now a lot of them are on strike right now. So you know what I'm saying, like it's a whole circle around on this stuff. You know, the studio wants to make money, don't want to pay the people. You know, it's a whole thing on this. And yeah, Critical Drinker brings up a lot of good points here and there. So yeah, let me know down in the comments. Do y'all agree on a lot of things that Critical Drinker said, or do y'all disagree? Or do y'all agree to disagree? All right, y'all, post your comments down below, like and share with all your friends. Subscribe to this channel for more reaction videos. Make sure y'all give the video a thumbs up. Jay Anchor holding down for 100,000 subscribers, and Jay Anchor is out. I will be giving away $200 Amazon gift cards when this channel reaches 30,000 subscribers. All you have to do to enter is drop a like on this video, be subscribed to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any uploads. And in the comment section, let me know why you want to win the $200 Amazon gift card and include your Twitter handle. The winner will be announced once the channel reaches 30,000 subscribers.